The house on Meyerwood Lane didn't have an address. Not because it was new, and not because it had been forgotten. It simply no longer needed one. Mail carriers passed it without noticing the gap in their memory. Rideshare maps skipped over the lot like a corrupted file. And people who had lived on that street their entire lives, people who could tell you exactly which porch light flickered and which fence leaned, could never quite remember what stood between the two sycamore trees at the bend in the road. If you pressed them, really pressed them, they'd hesitate. Their brows would knit together. Their eyes would lose focus. And eventually, they'd shrug and say something like, "I don't think there was ever anything there." Pause. Evan noticed the house because it appeared on his phone. That was the first mistake. Evan trusted data. Coordinates. Lines drawn clean and straight. He was a surveyor by trade, the kind of man who believed the world made sense if you measured it carefully enough. He didn't believe in gut feelings or bad omens. Those were just words people used when they couldn't explain something properly. So when the city hired him to confirm property boundaries ahead of a redevelopment project, he took the job without hesitation. It was supposed to be simple. Until he opened the map file. Every lot had a number. Every structure had records. Every structure, except one. A narrow rectangle sat between two established properties, outlined in gray. No address. No ownership history. No tax records. No zoning information. Just a blank label. A dash. Pause. The GPS took him there just before sunset. The light was fading fast, the sky bruised purple and orange, clouds stretched thin like scraped skin. Meyerwood Lane grew quieter the farther he drove, the houses thinning out, the trees leaning closer together. When Evan finally saw the house, his foot eased off the accelerator without him realizing why. It was too narrow. Too tall. Like it had been squeezed into place after the street was finished. The siding was discolored, yellowed in a way that reminded him of old bone. The windows were dark and dull, reflecting nothing, not the sky, not the trees, not even Evan's car headlights. The front door stood slightly open, and from inside drifted a smell that made his stomach tighten. Damp wood. Mold. And underneath it, something sweet. Something spoiled. Pause. Evan told himself it was just an abandoned property. Still, when he stepped onto the porch, his chest felt tight. The boards didn't creak. They didn't groan under his weight. They simply held him. Inside, the air was noticeably colder. Not drafty. Not windy. Just cold. The kind of cold that feels intentional. The layout immediately felt wrong. Hallways bent in ways they shouldn't. Doorways opened into other doorways. Rooms seemed to repeat themselves, but slightly altered, like a memory recalled incorrectly. A grandfather clock stood in the entryway. Its glass face was cracked. The pendulum swung. But there was no ticking. Pause. Evan set up his tripod, forcing himself into routine. Laser meter. Tablet. The device beeped as he took the first measurement. Then the numbers flickered. Then the screen scrambled. Then it went black. From somewhere deep inside the house came a sound. Not footsteps. Not speech. A slow, drawn-out breath. "Hello?" Evan called. His voice didn't echo. It seemed to stretch, thin out, like the house was pulling it away from him. Pause. He moved carefully from room to room, marking measurements by hand. Each time he turned around, the hallway behind him seemed longer than before. Each doorway slightly narrower. The wallpaper shifted when he wasn't looking. Floral patterns twisted into shapes that looked disturbingly like eyes if he stared too long. In what might once have been a dining room, he found a table set for one. A single plate. A fork and knife. An apple sliced cleanly in half. Its flesh had browned with age. Flies buzzed over it lazily. When Evan stepped closer, they vanished. He checked his watch. 6:12 p.m. The second hand didn't move. Pause. He should have left. Instead, he followed the sound. A scraping noise, soft, deliberate, like nails dragged slowly across wood. The hallway narrowed until the walls brushed his shoulders. At the end stood a door painted deep purple, the color of a healing bruise. It was already open. Inside, there was only a mirror. Tall. Old. Warped just enough to make reality uncertain. Evan stepped closer. His reflection lagged behind him. Just a fraction of a second. Enough to notice. He lifted his hand. The reflection followed, late. Behind it, something moved. Pause. Evan spun around. Nothing. When he looked back, his reflection was smiling. Evan wasn't. A low sound rolled through the house. Satisfied. Doors slammed somewhere far away. The hallway behind him was gone. In its place, a staircase descending into darkness. Pause. Stop, Evan whispered. I'm leaving. The stairs waited. There was nowhere else to go. Each step downward felt heavier. The air thickened, smelling of damp earth and copper. Bare bulbs flickered on, revealing shelves lining the walls. Jars. Hundreds of them. Inside floated things that might once have been organs, or emotions given shape. Each jar bore a label. Patience. Regret. Hunger. Guilt. At the center of the room stood a chair bolted to the floor. Leather straps hung loose. A mirror faced it. Long pause. Evan stepped back. His heel sank into something soft. A body lay at his feet. He turned it over. It was him. Older. Tired. Eyes hollowed by years of avoidance. On the wrist, a watch stopped at 6:12. Memory flooded in. Rain on glass. A phone lighting up again and again. Her voice shaking. His anger rising. The shove. The fall. The silence. She slipped, Evan whispered. The straps snapped tight. He was in the chair. The mirror showed him calm, watching. The house whispered. Accidents are choices made quickly. The jars trembled. Labels peeled away and reattached. Denial. Cowardice. The mirror shattered. Darkness swallowed him. Hands pulled. Shaped. Emptied. Thoughts unraveled. His name faded. Long pause. When awareness returned, Evan stood in the entryway. The grandfather clock ticked. A man stepped inside, adjusting a tripod. "Hello," the man called. Evan watched. The house breathed. The clock ticked. Outside, the sycamores whispered. The house on Meyerwood Lane settled. Waiting.